Hello again. Tom, the well-traveled American. Well, it's January 2nd, 2026, and I believe that I'll start this year with talking about things that are a bit more esoteric. So please bear with me. People have asked me how it is that I'm so certain about my espoused points of view. Sadly, my answer to them is not a one-size-fits-all quick answer. So here it goes. I'll attempt to explain this as quickly as simply as I can. You see, I was born a poor black child with no rhythm. No, seriously, that was a line out of Steve Martin's comedy movie The Jerk from 1980s. Although I'd like to start in 1980s, I'm afraid I'll have to go back a little further, all the way back to my early childhood. I would ask you to indulge me in one slight, albeit tangential, uh, theatrical moment. From childhood's hour, I have not been. As others were, I have not seen. As others saw, I could not bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source I have not taken. My sorrow I could not awaken. My heart to the joy at the same tone. And all I've loved alone. Then, in my childhood, in the dawn of a most stormy life, it was drawn from every depth of good and ill, the mystery which binds me still. From the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled, in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky, as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm, and the cloud that took the form, when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view. And that was actually the words of a famous poet, Edgar Allan Poe. And I think in many words, that poem has always spoken to me because I understand it, and I have to a large degree lived it. I was born an orphan child, adopted at birth by a loving couple who at the time were older and childless. I was to be their only child. We moved on the average every 2 years. You see, my father worked for Western Union after World War II, and his philosophy was that he would go to any location at any time for any promotion. He started as a lineman in rural Missouri, and when he retired in 1976, he was vice president of maintenance out of New York. The constant moving and the fact that I was the only child of older parents thrust upon me a substantially different view of the world than my peer group. Although I was a studious child, I only studied what I wanted to study. In fact, my independent nature caused me to repeat the fourth grade. I have had an independent nature which has sometimes been extreme to the point of my own detriment. I am reminded of the struggles between myself, my parents, and my teachers in the title of the film by Leni Riefenstahl in her movie about Nuremberg. Just the title. And that was The Triumph of the Wills. My will was stronger than any, much to my detriment in many, many circumstances. Uh, this does not mean that I support Nazism. It doesn't mean that I will defend, it does mean that I'll defend my point of view to the death. I am open to any convincing arguments that may be valid. From this crucible of childhood struggle, I joined the Marine Corps, where I excelled and became a crew chief flight engineer on long transport helicopters. I was promoted several times, given a few meritorious masks. I was roommate to 5 other Marines who died in various crashes. It was a dangerous job, to say the least. The attrition rate of those of us who held this job, of which there was only 125 in the entire Marine Corps, was approximately 11% while I was in. Therefore, it was a very dangerous job, to say the least. I more completely understand the ramification of bad decisions than most people ever will. I had understood that as a child, but in a more serious fashion as a young adult. The value of being 100% correct in your thoughts and decisions was an absolutism from which I could not escape. I'm opinionated. Of that, there is no doubt. However, before I offer an opinion, I make damn sure that it's based on exhaustive research and reality, not one of my idealistic desire. I went on to a career after my university studies of teaching aerospace and management courses to various colleges, aerospace manufacturers, and foreign governments. I've trained both pilots and engineers from our own and foreign governments, the best and brightest. You know, the people who are charged with the safety of their leaders while flying in their presidential aircraft. Those kinds of people. Lastly, I've spent a lifetime of learning, both domestic and foreign history, with the added experience of immersion through more than 15 years of my life overseas. My viewpoint is frequently different than those around me, and it is uncompromised. That does not mean that I am right or wrong. It merely means that I usually have more broad-based and nuanced processes while formulating my opinion on any particular topic. I hope that by sharing my points of view with others, that includes all of you who take the time out of your busy schedule to listen to me, that this facilitates a dialogue and stimulates an unexplored perspective. The world's a complicated place, and no one society or individual has all the answers. I'd like to leave it to you with one more quote. To quote another person who I admired, that would be Admiral Hyman G. Rickover. Rickover's total of 63 years of active duty service makes him the longest serving naval officer, as well as the longest serving service member of any armed forces in the U.S. history. And to quote him, "A cause of many of our mistakes and problems is ignorance, an overwhelming national ignorance of the facts about the rest of the world." Thank you for your patience and your understanding. Please feel free to leave comments on anything I say. I'm always most interested in any corrections that you may have to share with me. Lifelong learning is the best answer to understanding complex issues and other people's perspectives. Thank you, and that's it for today.